As I walked through the sterile corridors of the Helix Laboratory, a sense of unease settled in the pit of my stomach. I had been summoned by the lab's director, Dr. Rachel Kim, for a meeting that I had been told was of the utmost importance. I had no idea what to expect, but my instincts told me that something was off. I had been a spy for over 2 decades, and my gut had saved my life more times than I could count. As I entered the conference room, I was greeted by Dr. Kim and 2 men in black suits who introduced themselves as agents from the National Security Agency. Dr. Kim's expression was grave, and I could tell that she was nervous. "Alex, we have reason to believe that you have been involved in a serious breach of security," one of the agents said, his voice firm but controlled. "We have evidence that suggests you have been working with a rogue agent to steal classified information from the lab." I was taken aback. I had retired from the spy game 5 years ago, and I had been living a quiet life in the suburbs. I had no idea what they were talking about. "That's impossible," I said, trying to keep my cool. "I haven't been involved in anything like that. I'm just a retired spy trying to live a normal life." The agents exchanged a skeptical look, and Dr. Kim spoke up. "Alex, we have video footage of you entering the lab after hours. We have records of you accessing classified files. We have eyewitness testimony from one of our scientists who saw you arguing with a man who matches the description of the rogue agent." I knew that I was in trouble. I had been to the lab a few times to visit Dr. Kim, who was an old friend, but I had never accessed classified files or met with a rogue agent. Something was very wrong. "I don't know what you're talking about," I said, trying to stay calm. "I think someone is setting me up." The agents smiled, and one of them pulled out a small device from his pocket. "We have a recording of your conversation with the rogue agent," he said. "It's not very flattering. Alex, you're going to have to come with us." I knew that I had to think fast. I had been in tough spots before, but this was different. I was being accused of a crime that I didn't commit, and I had no idea who was behind it. I decided to play along, hoping that I could gather more information and clear my name. I stood up, and the agents escorted me out of the lab. As we walked through the corridors, I noticed that the lab was much more secure than I had remembered. There were cameras everywhere, and the doors were all locked with biometric scanners. I realized that whoever was behind this must have had inside help. The agents took me to a secure facility on the outskirts of the city, where I was interrogated for hours. I stuck to my story, denying any involvement in the breach. But the agents were relentless, and I could tell that they were convinced that I was guilty. Just when I thought that things couldn't get any worse, I received a visit from Dr. Kim. She looked nervous and scared, and she whispered to me that she believed me. "Alex, I think someone is trying to frame you," she said. "I don't know who or why, but I'm going to try to help you." I was grateful for her support, but I knew that I had to take matters into my own hands. I decided to escape from the facility and make my way back to the lab to uncover the truth. It was a risk, but I had no choice. I was being accused of a crime that I didn't commit, and I had to clear my name. I managed to escape from the facility and made my way back to the lab, avoiding the security cameras and guards. I snuck into the lab and made my way to Dr. Kim's office, where I found her waiting for me. "Alex, I've been digging into the breach," she said. "I think I know who is behind it." She handed me a file, and I scanned it quickly. The evidence pointed to a scientist named Dr. Lee, who had been working on a top-secret project. But as I read on, I realized that Dr. Lee was just a pawn in a much larger game. The real mastermind behind the breach was a powerful corporation that had been secretly funding the lab's research. I knew that I had to act fast. I had to stop the corporation and clear my name. I decided to break into the lab's mainframe and gather evidence of the corporation's involvement. It was a risk, but I had no choice. As I worked my way through the lab's security systems, I realized that my destiny was not set in stone. I had a choice to make. And I chose to fight for the truth. I managed to break into the mainframe and gather the evidence I needed. I made my way back to the facility, where I confronted the agents and the corporation's representatives. I presented them with the evidence, and they were forced to admit that they had been wrong. I was exonerated, and the corporation was brought to justice. As I walked out of the facility, I felt a sense of redemption. I had been accused of a crime that I didn't commit, but I had fought for the truth and cleared my name. I realized that my life was not predetermined, and that I had the power to choose my own destiny. I was grateful for the adventure, and I knew that I would always stand up for what was right.